Hey guys, welcome to Make Money Count. Very excited for the show. Marcus, why don't you start us off with a bang and tell us a little bit about what we're going to be talking about today?
Okay, so I started reading a few articles about mortgage renewals again because it keeps coming up. The Bank of Canada is talking about it. I think it was an Equifax report that I read most recently. And there was something that totally stuck out at me. And it was that year over year, mortgage holders' credit card balances increased by 12%. Non-mortgage holders' credit card balances increased by 7.7%. I know that sounds like kind of obscure, but it really isn't, right? It's, first of all, Canadian credit card balances are the highest they've been since Equifax started taking this measurement. So debt is totally spiraling out of control. Canadians continue to take more of it because interest rates are so high. And you're going to start seeing the effects of this creep in more and more into anything you read in the news, right? So I was reading about the banks and their quarterly profits and their loan loss provisions. All of the banks are increasing their loan loss provisions. National Bank and Royal Bank had really good quarters. They made lots of money. TD Bank is like the ugly duckling of the banking sector right now because of the money laundering stuff going on in the United States. They actually were at a loss for the quarter because of a $2.5 billion a provision they've had to take out to pay regulators in the States. Yep. We spoke about that a little while ago.
Yeah.
I don't think we've seen the end of that story yet. I think there's still going to be more coming on that. But Bank of Montreal warning of huge loan losses. The banks are concerned. Interest rates have been high for a very long period of time now. We know that they're coming off. You remember when you corrected me on the hurricane?
Right. Yeah. How hurricanes work. Yeah.
Yeah. The eye of the hurricane is actually very calm, Marcus. Well, okay. I didn't know that. But what we need to now deal with is the Bank of Canada has told us, and they've issued this in a report, that the best way for Canadians to access monetary policy stimulus is by using a mortgage broker.
Right.
Point blank. Mm-hmm. They've said it. They've said that if you have a mortgage and you want access to the most amount of monetary stimulus, if you want to be closest to the monetary stimulus, don't deal directly with your bank. So today, seeing as though we know that there's a problem with credit, we know that over 50% of mortgages are coming up for renewal in the next 2 years. Huge, huge number. What can we do to help Canadians deal with those renewals? You've got a renewal coming up. 50% of you have a renewal coming up. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through a list, 5 top things that you need to do in order to make sure that you get the absolute best mortgage on your mortgage renewal.
I'm really excited about this list. We were talking about it earlier today. We've done podcasts like this, but I feel like this one is especially going to be good, and this list is especially good. So let's start off with step 1.
So I think the most important thing that you can do, and the first thing that you should do when you're dealing with your renewal, is to be proactive.
Right.
I've been thinking about this all day, right? Like, what do I mean when I say be proactive? Remember I always say deliver bad news fast?
Yeah.
Right?
Rip the Band-Aid off.
Yeah, even if it's to yourself, deliver the news quickly, right? Understand that it's very likely if your mortgage is renewing in the next year, your mortgage interest rate is going to be higher than what it was. Get in front of it, right? Don't wait.
Right. Just a little bit of history if you don't know. I mean, you can hold a mortgage approval for up to 120 days. Actually, 130 days with some places. Clients seem to think let's wait for that. I mean, the other big thing is, let's wait until I want to hear what my bank has to say. I want to hear what my lender has to say. And I'm finding these days with so much kind of competition and so many people shopping for their mortgage that the time frame between your actual renewal date and when your bank, decides that they're going to tell you how much you're going to pay for your mortgage for the next 5 years or 3 years or whatever is really tightening. And so, I speak to clients all the time and, I kind of explain to them, we can hold a commitment for 120 days. And I am very confident that we should get started as soon as possible because your bank is going to delay the inevitable, which is, generally like 30 days before your renewal date, which is tighter than it's ever been.
I would get started 6 months in advance.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll tell you why I say that. I say, if you're going to be proactive on your mortgage, you get started 6 months in advance because you speak to your bank, you speak to your mortgage broker, and you figure out what is required to get the exact thing that you want. And if you're going to hold a rate 120 days out, that's 4 months. Take a month or two to pull everything together.
Absolutely.
Number one, be proactive. Number two, understand your situation.
Right.
Let's dive through that in a little bit of detail. Let's go through the top five, the 5 successive things that you need to do in order to ace your renewal. And then let's dive into them. But so number one, be proactive. Mm-hmm. Number two, understand your situation.
Yep.
Number 3, communicate, right? Reach out to your bank, reach out to your mortgage broker, speak to your group, speak to the people around you that you trust, your accountant, your lawyer, people around you that you hold in high esteem, that know what's happening in the market, that might be able to offer some help or advice, but communicate. What's next?
Gather information. Like, get as much information as possible. Find out as much as you can about the options that are available to you before you make the decision. The more you know, the better, the easier the decision is going to be to make.
Gather the information to make the most informed decision. And then the last one is don't stop. Mm-hmm. Like, don't think that just because you've gone through this process and you've got this great product, you've got the best mortgage that you can possibly get, it doesn't just end there, right? Mm-hmm. Like, things get in the way. Life happens. You may decide you want to sell your property. You may decide you wanted to buy a rental property. You may, change jobs. Something might happen to your credit. Your wife may get pregnant. I don't know. But things happen and you've got to be on top of it. And you've got to not be afraid to kind of go right back to being proactive again.
Right. Yeah. Staying on top of it.
So I think we outlined what being proactive is all about, right? Mm-hmm. Get started early. If you got a renewal coming up, reaching out to a mortgage broker doesn't cost you anything.
Right. Yep.
Reaching out to your bank and finding out what the best rate they can offer you on a renewal instead of waiting for the renewal document to come in the mail doesn't cost you anything. Mm-hmm. And I think banks more and more realize that when customers are proactive, the bank is going to have a harder time screwing around with them when it comes time for the renewal. Okay, so understand your situation. Mm-hmm. Let's dive into this one. Yep. This is our number 2 most important thing.
Absolutely.
What do you think that means, JT?
I mean, listen, I think understanding your situation, just, it's kind of like you said, if it is bad news and if it is good news, just figure it out, right? Like, looking at what your situation is at the moment and what you need and what should come out of this mortgage, right? So, you gave a couple examples, but, if you're looking for a HELOC, if you're looking to just get the best rate, if you're looking, what your plan is over the next 5 years, the best people to advise you on your mortgage don't just look at what the situation is right now, right? They look at the future and they look to like what you're looking to do over the next little bit.
I think, and there's so much misinformation floating around there that people who are business for self just assume now that they can't get a mortgage from a bank or can't get a great rate on their mortgage, but it's not true. Or people just assume that the value of their property has dropped by an amount that might not qualify them for what they're looking to do. But like, understanding that situation, gathering the information, communicating with the people around you, communicating with lenders and mortgage brokers, pulling all of that together and doing it in advance is going to set you up for success.
Right.
And I'm not saying it just like use a mortgage broker. I'm saying like maybe and in the end, the best mortgage ends up coming because you don't have to switch it. You got your mortgage renewal coming up. It's with TD Bank and you start shopping it 6 months in advance. You get some pre-approvals, you get some rate holds, even though rates are still going down, lock one in just to make sure you're approved for it. And have that confidence going into that period until that mortgage renewal date comes up.
Yeah.
And I think, like, pro tip here, the longer you wait, like I've seen a lot of banks offering early renewals right now to clients.
Yeah, that's such a joke.
Like, if your bank is offering you an early renewal right now, run in the other direction. Right? Like, we know rates are coming down. you do not want to be renewing early into an inflated fixed rate when everybody knows you can be getting a lower fixed rate closer to your renewal date.
I think about this too. Anytime that your bank reaches out to you during your term and suggests that you do something with your mortgage, generally is for the benefit of the bank, right? So you renewing early, you doing all this stuff. Like when that person calls you from the bank and says, Marcus, listen, I got a memo on my desk and we're just reaching out to some of our clients. The only reason that he's reaching out to you is because he was told that it's a good idea to touch base with you because it benefits the bank, right?
Yeah.
The whole understanding your situation thing too, and something that I was thinking about, and I actually watched a video. I watched a video this morning of a person who sells jets. He sells private jets, and it was a pretty interesting video. I'm not in the market for it, but he sells private jets, and he sat down with one of his clients and he said, listen, and this kind of ties in from, understanding your situation to our next topic, which is communicate. But he said, listen, you got to imagine that I am your doctor. The only way that I can give you the best advice that I can is for you to be completely honest with me, right? About your situation, about what you're looking for. I talk to clients all the time, and, either they think they're being honest or, they're just kind of, inflating the truth or whatever the situation is. I think one of the most important things is to be completely honest about your situation.
I love that. Yeah. Listen, I think the problem with changing the way people think about it, though, is they're so worried when they speak to their bank that whatever they say will be held against them. Right. And we've seen this all too often, right? Like with the whole collateralized mortgage charges, where people were sold these charges that were in excess of the dollar amount that they were receiving on their mortgages under the auspices that the bank would continue to re-advance capital for them if they were ever in a distressed situation. And when they went to their banks during the pandemic or now, and they asked for that level of reprieve, initially they didn't get it. And then the federal government stepped in, and then, people did start getting it. But I think that there's a lack of trust between Canadians and the banks. Mm-hmm. I think there's a fear. I think that's why Canadians need a mortgage broker, a financial advisor that isn't aligned with a Canadian bank, right? I think if you can find someone that can offer you that level of unbiased advice, someone that you can be honest with, you're going to win. Like the banks are big, smart, but big bureaucratic, oligopolistic institutions. And if you are nimble and well-informed, you can win.
100%.
Not everyone wins, right? But if you're well-aligned and you got good information, you're going to win. So just understand, Justin, Cannect, we've been doing this for almost 25 years now. 25 years with a certain business plan, right? Salaried employees who are really well-informed, who really care about listening to their clients and getting their clients the best product. Not just the lowest rate, but we talked about this the other day, the highest probability of success, right? The greatest probability of getting that approval. Any mortgage broker or banker can put themselves out there and say oh my God, I'm going to get you the lowest rate on the market. They can also have access to the lowest rate of the market, right? Anyone that does a lot of volume like we do will have access to great interest rates. But if they're not talented at what they're doing and your file is somewhat complicated, the likelihood of them getting that approval diminishes. You want someone who has access to the best rates. You want someone who's really good at what they do. And you want someone who's listening to you and understanding exactly the product that you should be in. If you can pull all of that together, which I think we do very well, you're going to win. You're going to beat the banks.
Absolutely.
And you got to stay on top of it, right? Don't stop. Mm-hmm. Number 5, don't stop. Keep on top of it. So, okay, everyone out there that's got a mortgage renewal, the first thing, be proactive. Start communicating with people. Start communicating with a mortgage broker. Start communicating with your existing lender. Start communicating with some of the friends and family that you trust that have probably been through the same situation. Don't be embarrassed about it. Communicate about it with people that you trust. Understand your situation. Gather all the information that you can. Make your decision, and then don't stop. Keep analyzing. Make sure you're always on top of it. Yeah. Maybe you get our newsletter every week. Maybe you've already unsubscribed from our newsletter and you're just watching this on YouTube right now. But if you are watching this on YouTube right now, don't hesitate to hit like and subscribe, unless you already are subscribed, in which case, thank you very much. But listen, I just want to say, Canadians who are renewing your mortgage, this is not an easy time that we're going through right now. It's going to get better, but it is critical that right now, if your mortgage is coming up for renewal in the next 6 months, or if someone you know's mortgage is coming up for renewal in the next 6 months, do not let the banks run them over or run you over and force you to be a part of their ever-growing profits. Stand out from that and do better for yourself. You can do it. Follow these steps. Find a great mortgage broker, start communicating, understand your situation, gather the information, make your decision, and you will save tens of thousands of dollars on your next mortgage renewal. Do what the Bank of Canada is telling you to do in their report to tell Canadians that they should use a mortgage broker to access monetary policy. That's all I have to say.
I love it. I couldn't have said it any better myself. And I think with that, we call it.